What's up, man? It's your boy, Quizzy, man. I'm back with another video, and we got another Elvis video. But first, what's up, son? AJ, when he watches this show, we leave him alone. We're doing the truth about Elvis Presley's friendship with Johnny Cash. This is gonna be interesting because I know y'all gonna get on me, but I don't know who Johnny Cash is.
You what?
So I know who Elvis Presley is, and we've been looking and doing a lot about him. And don't get on me, man. I'm learning. So it's a better time than now to start learning these things. So we're gonna keep on learning in the spirit of Christmas, and we're gonna keep going. So we're gonna check out the truth, okay? So I wanna see, because when people say the truth, it normally be something juicy in there, you know what I'm saying? I ain't talking about a ribeye, you know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and get started, man. Hit that like button, man, just for your boy, man, All right, man, we're gonna go ahead and get started.
Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash, two sides of a love triangle? These two music icons have more in common than you might think. This is the truth about their friendship. 706 Union Avenue in Memphis, Tennessee marks the spot of what could be called the birthplace of rock and roll, or at least the place that brought rock and roll into the mainstream. According to the National, it all began in 1954, when a 19-year-old Elvis Presley performed Arthur Crudup's That...
Dang, he was 19 when he came out, bro? What was I doing at 19? I was doing music though, for sure. I was definitely doing music, but I wasn't birthing the fucking genre guy.
All right, for Sam Phillips, founder of Sun Records. That same year, Johnny Cash performed gospel songs in an audition for Phillips, who told him to, quote, "go home and sin, then come back with a song I can sell." By the end of 1954, Presley and Cash were both signed to the label. Sun Records president John Singleton told the National, "I can't say for sure what pop music would sound like today without a Sun Records in the 50s, but there may not have been a Beatles or Rolling Stones. I believe it would be hard to find a successful rock artist who was not a fan of Sun." The first time Cash met Presley, Elvis was performing from the flatbed of a truck to sing for a couple hundred people at a drugstore opening. At that time, he had only released one single and was left with no choice but to play the same two songs, his only songs, on a loop. It wasn't much of a show, so Presley invited Cash and his wife Vivian to see his next concert.
That's kind of dope, you know what I'm saying? But let me keep going, I'll tell you.
It didn't go much better. Cash wrote in Cash, the autobiography, the date was a blunder because the place was an adult club where teenagers weren't welcome, and so Vivian and I were two of only a dozen or so patrons, 15 at the most. All the same, I thought Elvis was great. He didn't say much. He didn't have to, of course. His charisma alone kept everyone's attention.
I swear, that was the biggest thing that we've been discussing on the channel. It's not that Elvis was the best song maker, and not that he was the best song writer. It wasn't even that he was one of the greatest guitar or piano players. We didn't say that, even though some things go without saying. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things go without saying. But what I'm trying to say is that his charisma, and that's the biggest thing, is the charisma. You might fall in love with him for his charisma alone, and then go to his music and say, well, God dang, he can really sing. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, especially these days, you know, we got a golden opportunity to show people who we are as a person, what we're into, and then they like us, and then they go back and they check other things out. You know what I'm saying? And that's how today's work. Back then, you know, you gotta have a lot of talent, you know what I'm saying, for them to want to invest into you, you know what I'm saying? But hey bro, I just can appreciate the honesty by Johnny Cash at that moment.
Still, Cash came away impressed, especially with Presley's underrated rhythm guitar playing. Cash could see that Elvis was destined for greater things. Throughout his life, Johnny Cash felt a certain loyalty to the Elvis Presley he knew in the 1950s. He wrote in Cash, the autobiography, that he much preferred Presley's music when they first met over his popular later work, which Cash thought was overproduced. My Elvis was the Elvis of the 50s. He was a kid when I worked with him. He was 19 years old and he loved cheeseburgers, girls, and his mother. Not necessarily...
Not necessarily in that order. Hey, bro, but that's how it is, bro. Like when you start off untouched by the game. You know what I'm saying? Like you start off very authentic because you feel like if I just do what I want, when I want, and how I want, cool. And then as you get into the industry, people try to tell you what you can and can't do. Like if y'all were to check out my old videos, I was doing a lot more cussing. I was like I'm not saying I'm not having fun. I'm having a large amount of fun, but I was just doing whatever. But when I crossed that line and became a YouTube partner, YouTube was like, okay, Quizzy, now, we love you, but there's a few things you're going to have to stop doing. And then that's just one of the things that like, man, hey, at the end of the day, you got to be mindful that you can't stay the same, though. You can't stay the same. You have to evolve as you get bigger.
In that order, it was more like his mother than girls than cheeseburgers. Personally, I liked cheeseburgers and I had nothing against his mother, but the girls were the thing. He had so many girls after him that whenever he was working with us, there were always plenty left over. We had a lot of fun. Presley, his rock and roll songs, and his hip shaking famously drew hordes of enthusiastic girls. But Cash emphasized in his biography that Presley's stardom was built on more than sex appeal. Elvis was so good. Every show I did with him, I never missed the chance to stand in the wings and watch. We all did. He was that charismatic.
I keep telling y'all think that I'm watching just because. I'm trying to pick up tips. I'm a music artist. I'm struggling. No, it's just a good thing that just pick up tips from the people that did it, because you can learn, hey, white, black, Asian, purple, like you can learn I know it was white, black, then Asian, like they're a different color other than white and black. But I'm just saying, you can learn anything from anybody. You know, I can learn from my son, you know?
In the mid-1950s, June Carter of the country trio the Carter Sisters went on tour with Elvis. Presley took to playing Cash's music on the road. In her 1987 autobiography, From the Heart, Carter recalled a time when Presley was trying to tune his guitar and sing Cash's early hit, Cry, Cry, Cry. Carter recalled saying, quote, "I don't know this Johnny Cash," to which Presley replied, "Oh, you'll know Cash. The whole world will know Johnny Cash. He's a friend of mine." In June 1956, Carter and Cash finally met at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee. Carter wrote, "Johnny Cash took me by the hand and said, 'I've always wanted to meet you.' The strangest feeling came over me. I was afraid to look him in the eyes. It was one of the things I did best. I never stammered and still found myself not able to say much of anything. I think I finally blurted out, 'I feel like I know you already. Elvis plays you on the jukebox all the time and he can't tune his guitar without humming Cry, Cry, Cry. Now he's got me doing it.'" In 2008, John Carter Cash, the son of Johnny Cash and June Carter, released the biography Anchored in Love, an intimate portrait of June Carter Cash. In the book, John addressed speculation that June may have had an affair with Elvis Presley. He wrote, "Throughout my life, I would see my mom get a mischievous twinkle in her eye whenever she mentioned Elvis Presley. Her eyes would flash merrily and she would say, 'You know, son, your father was always jealous of Elvis.' She even told me once that she sometimes wondered what would have happened if she had fallen in love with Elvis."
I mean, okay. For his mom to tell him that is all right. But for him to go blurting that out just randomly, like, he's playing in the back. But for him to go blurt that out, like that's not something you do. You don't just go repeating what your mom told you in confidence and put it in an autobiography book, John Carter Cash. I don't know, man. I don't think that's real. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's cool that we found more information about Elvis, but that don't make Elvis look good. That don't make his dad look good. That don't make his mom look good, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so why would you go talking about it? Like, some things you just gotta let be, bro.
John Carter Cash speculated that there may have been more to his mother's speculation than idle fancy. He wrote, "Though Mom always maintained that she never had an affair with Elvis, Carl Smith, her first husband, believed differently, and perhaps for good reason. After Carl moved out of their Madison home, Mom would sometimes let Elvis stay at the house to rest after a tour." On December 4th,
They put rest in the quotations.
1956, singer-songwriter Carl Perkins headed to Memphis' Sun studio for a recording session. A pre-famed Jerry Lee Lewis was there on keys, and by pure coincidence, Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash both stopped by the studio. The foursome then played a 23-song blend of gospel, bluegrass, and contemporary hits, including Presley's own Love Me Tender and Don't Be Cruel. Recognizing the unusual and now historic nature of this meeting of musical minds, Sun Records founder Sam Phillips alerted the Memphis Press Scimitar. The paper ran the story the following day, complete with a photo of the four musicians captioned "The $1 Million Quartet."
That's a $1 million picture right there.
Cash described in Cash the Autobiography writing, "I was the first to arrive and the last to leave, contrary to what has been written. I was just there to watch Carl record, which he did until mid-afternoon, when Elvis came in with his girlfriend. At that point, the session stopped and we all started laughing and cutting up together. Then Elvis sat down at the piano, and we started singing gospel songs we all knew."
That's what's up, man. That's some real stuff. Like, if you got a real friend and you got really somebody that you cool with, and you always be able to stop the business at a point in time and then be able to just like vibe with them, because it's like they do music for a living. Then they're doing music all day, just having fun. That's how you know you got a real friend, you know?
Though some have said that Cash can't be heard in the recordings, he wrote that this isn't true. "Contrary to what some people have written, my voice is on the tape. It's not obvious because I was farthest away from the mic and I was singing a lot higher than I usually did in order to stay in key with Elvis, but I guarantee you, I'm there." In 1959, Johnny Cash opened for Elvis Presley on a live tour. He began with a slapstick, hip-swiveling Elvis impression and a rendition of the King's 1958 hit Heartbreak Hotel. Then when Presley would enter the stage, he would take his turn impersonating the Man in Black. Presley's Cash impression reportedly traveled offstage and on the road, according to Chuck Crisafulli and George Klein's 2010 book, Elvis, My Best Man, Radio Days, Rock and Roll Nights, and My Lifelong Friendship with Elvis Presley. During Presley's 1957 tour, he was riding a train when a teenage girl approached him, greeted him with an excited Johnny Cash, and asked him to sing one of his, Cash's, songs. Klein wrote, "Elvis would never sing one of his own songs in that type of situation, but for this little Johnny Cash fan, he dropped his voice to its lowest notes and started singing a few lines of Hey Porter, a song Cash had cut at Sun that seemed especially appropriate for a midnight train ride. The girl was thrilled and even ended up with an autograph from Elvis which read, Best wishes, Johnny Cash." The level of stardom that Elvis Presley experienced inevitably came with its share of scrutiny, and although Presley was eager to shake his hips on the world stage, he had a hard time with criticism of any kind, and particularly the rumors about him using drugs, as Johnny Cash noted in Cash the Autobiography. Presley was very sensitive, easily hurt by the stories people told about.
I mean, imagine that, like, you doing stuff, living your life, man, trying to be the best person that you could be, and then you got people dropping stories about you just because they don't like you, just because you're young and you came up, just because you have charisma and all the women like you and they women like you. You know what I'm saying? Like, even those people that was calling him, you in lover, you're a nerd lover. I'm like, cause he like black women, shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? I like black women. I'm just saying, bro, it don't matter, bro. Like stop all this hating. Stop hating on the man. Like, let him do his thing. Snap his fingers. You want to, do a little gyrating, and the women like it. Hey, that's what it is.
About him being on dope and so on. I myself couldn't understand why people wanted to say that back in the 50s, because in those days, he was the last person on earth who needed dope. He had such a high energy level that it seemed he'd never stop, though maybe that's why they said he was on dope. Cash went on to say that as far as he knew, there was no basis to the rumors. I never saw any evidence of it. I never saw him use any kind of drug or even alcohol. He was always clear-headed around me and very pleasant. Cash himself didn't see Presley as a bad boy or a contentious figure at all. He wrote, Elvis was such a nice guy and so talented and charismatic.
Elvis looked like he got an afro right there, don't he, y'all?
He had it all. That some people just couldn't handle it and reacted with jealousy. It's only human, I suppose, but it's sad. Beyond the 1950s, Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash went their separate ways. In 2020, Cash's son, John Carter Cash, told Express, Elvis went on to make his films and some more music later on, and they never worked again together after the 1950s. Cash explained why in Cash, the autobiography. He wrote, "He and I liked each other, but we weren't that tight. I was older than he was for one thing, and married for another. And we weren't close at all in his later years. I took the hint when he closed his world around him. I didn't try to invade his privacy. I'm so glad I didn't either, because so many of his old friends were embarrassed so badly when they were turned away at Graceland." In the 1960s and 70s, Cash's occasional interactions with Presley were positive, but professional, and conducted from a distance. Cash recalled in his book, "He and I chatted on the phone a couple of times and swapped notes now and again. If he were closing at the Las Vegas Hilton as I was getting ready to open, he'd wish me luck, that kind of thing. But that was about the extent of it." Elvis Presley died on August 16, 1977 at the age of 42.
Damn, at the age of 42, bro? That's young as hell, bro. Shit, I'm 27. 42, bro, that's crazy, bro. That's way too young. And in December, it's cold as hell.
That December, Johnny Cash recorded the Johnny Cash Christmas Special, which included an all-star tribute to the King.
You better.
He was joined by the other two members of the $1 Million Quartet, Carl Perkins and Jerry Lee Lewis, as well as fellow Sun Records star Roy Orbison. The group then performed the gospel standard, "This Train is Bound for Glory" in Presley's honor, with Cash saying,
"He was a star. And he always was a star. Because all of us remember him and how he loved gospel songs and how we liked him. This song is for Elvis."
The special also included performances of 3 songs that Presley had recorded. Cash teamed up with the quartet, the Statler Brothers, to perform Blue Christmas, a song Presley popularized in 1957. Perkins performed Blue Suede Shoes, which he wrote and initially recorded in 1955 before Elvis covered it in 1956. Lewis performed Whole Lotta Shakin' Going On, which he popularized in 1957 and Presley covered in 1971. Johnny Cash was known for transcending the boundaries of genre and getting crowds, ranging from devout Christians to prison inmates, on their feet. But by 1988, after 3 decades of touring with countless rock and roll icons, Cash had his own idea of which artist had the best stage presence: the King himself. Cash said during a 1988 interview on The Late Late Show,
"The best performer, probably Elvis Presley. I don't think anybody could touch him."
Cash expounded on just why Elvis stood out from the rest, saying he had a lot of rhythm, he was a very good singer, and he was a fabulous performer in the way he moved the people.
Like, look at Elvis's face when he doing like that. It's like you can't help but to smile, you know what I'm saying?
And not only the girls loved Elvis, but every man backstage was standing in the wings watching Elvis. He had that charisma.
One thing is certain, we'll never see the likes of Johnny Cash and Elvis Presley again.
Man, I ain't gonna lie, like, I heard at the end that Elvis kind of closed himself off to his friends. Now, I don't know how true that is, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what could have happened behind the scenes with these guys, you know, because there's always more to the story than what was said. There's always more to the story than what people might think they know. From what I see, and don't hate me for what I see, I think that Johnny Cash was a cool dude, and I think that, you know, he very much so cared about Elvis, and I think that at the end of the day, it was very distasteful for Johnny's son to go spilling business about whatever happened and whatever went on. You know, at the end of the day, I think that he was a good friend to Elvis, at least from what I saw, what I see. He spoke highly of him, you know what I'm saying? It's one thing, I don't care what you have to say, at the end of the day, you're not gonna big up somebody that you think had an affair with your wife, or I don't know, maybe you could get past that or whatever, but I'm just saying, I don't think that at the end of the day, he could have bigged up himself. You know, he could have said, "Oh, I think I was the best performer," and then and been done with it, but he didn't. He said he thought that Elvis was the best performer. He thought that he had charisma. He thought that, you know, Elvis was very relatable to people, and I think that what brings to charisma. When you do little silly things, you know, to kind of like, you know, bring people closer to you. I think that's what makes you dope, you know what I'm saying? Especially as a performer. But y'all, that's the video for today, man. So y'all, if y'all like the video, hit that like button, man. Let me know, let your boy know, man, so that way YouTube can help spread it around. You know what I'm saying? Love y'all, man. Be safe. Peace.